I want to thank the people at Google and Google Communications because, as you know, they substantiated what I said on Friday. The head of Google, who's a great gentleman, called us and he apologized. I don't know where the press got their fake news, but they got it someplace. But as you know, this is from Google. They put out a release, and you guys can figure it out yourselves and how that got out. And I'm sure you'll apologize. But it would be great if we could really give the news correctly. It would be so wonderful.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at the latest breaking news about the Chinese Wuhan coronavirus and how it is spreading. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we have a very special guest on the show tonight, Mr. Kerry Porch. You guys may know him from Project Veritas. He is the whistleblower who came forward from inside of CNN to expose Jeff Zucker and the agenda to overthrow a duly elected president using fake news. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check it out. Before we get started, guys, I want to let you know we do have a sponsor for this video. It is Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN is the only VPN service which allows unlimited simultaneous connections. What is a VPN, you ask? It's a way to protect your information online, to protect your identity, and it can do some other great things as well. But this is one of the few products where you can actually get it and you can use it on as many devices as you'd like simultaneously. Surfshark is able to encrypt your personal information and send it via a secure VPN tunnel so that no one can see it without your permission, which is a great benefit to this product. Also, it can protect you from the targeted advertisements that seems like Google is listening to all your conversations. So with that, I want to remind everybody to click on the link in the description or go to surfshark.deals/justinformed and use my promo code JUSTINFORMED to sign up for 83% off and an extra 1 month for free. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know the drill. I say thank you. If you've hit that subscribe button, make sure, if you haven't done it yet, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, then hit the bell for notifications. And you got to make sure you check that all box so you get notified as soon as all these videos get posted, so you're notified as soon as they're put up. But here we are. We pick up right where we left off. Q post 3894. And of course, here we are. It says God wins from an anon, and Q basically posts reiterating that. And yes, God does win. So there is nothing to worry about. From what I'm hearing, everything's going to be just fine. And that's what President Trump keeps saying. And that's what it seems to be shaping up to. So just remember that. And we're going to get into a few news stories. Then we're going to get into this interview with Kerry Porch from Project Veritas. So there's a lot of information you guys are going to want to stick around and check out here on this channel. But first, we start with this tweet from President Trump saying, "I ask all Americans to band together and support your neighbors by not hoarding unnecessary amounts of food and essentials. Together, we will stay strong and overcome this challenge." So I want to echo this sentiment here, and the president obviously saying this for a reason. There are a lot of people out there who are working really hard, especially in hospitals, at doctors' offices, ambulance workers, first response on all ends. They don't have the luxuries that we have a lot of the time. And just remember that when you're there, and if you're going to pick up the extra thing, I know you want to get enough to be okay in case stuff happens. And yeah, that's fine. Take care of your family and make sure you have enough to provide for. But the people who are hoarding, come on. Like, honestly, do you need 1,800 bottles of hand sanitizer or 1,000 rolls of toilet paper? I mean, let's try to help make sure that those who are working very hard to keep us safe have access to the same things that we are taking for granted now, maybe if we've stocked up. Now, if you're like me, I shop ahead of time. So I've been buying a little bit extra every shopping trip for the last few months. And of course, we have what we need, so we don't need to go out and panic buy. But I'm just telling you all out there that maybe that's a strategy for the future. Just get a few extra things every time you go to the grocery, if you can afford it. And then over time, you'll build up a nice little supply, so you won't have to go out and fight the crowds, and in this case, risk the infection with this coronavirus obviously being a threat. But we've been talking about here on this channel, major operations going off, not just internationally, as we talked about last time with Defender Europe 20, the military operation that was an exercise that is now going off live in Europe as we speak. But here we are right here, the U.S. Marshal Service saying the Walker County Sheriff's Office recently kicked off an effort dubbed Operation March Madness that has resulted in 122 arrests for the month so far, including the capture of U.S. Marshals fugitive Joshua Wayne Burnett. Now, think about this. This is happening on a regular basis across the board. So everything that you're seeing right now is a part of a cleanup effort, I think, in my opinion. And it's really refreshing to see. Not only that, we see the Federal Reserve backing down after President Trump basically laid it out for them that they are going to have to, start cutting rates. Well, now they've cut the rate down to zero, and they've offered $700 billion in quantitative easing, which we're going to see how this all works out. I know a lot of people have speculated a few different things about what President Trump's going to be doing to the Federal Reserve, but ultimately, from my perspective, I would be glad if we got to a point where we could see some sort of, precious metals involved in backing our currency, possibly with a treasury note, and try to move away from the fiat currency if that's at all possible. But ultimately, we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. Now, I guess that's pretty much where I want to wrap it up, because I want to get right into this interview. And I'm going to just say this. It's an interview with Carrie Porch. You guys are going to want to watch this. You're going to really enjoy it. And there's a lot of information in here. So please enjoy this interview with Carrie Porch from Project Veritas. He was the exposed CNN insider who blew the whistle. And according to Project Veritas site, I'll leave links and everything, he exposed Jeff Zucker on his personal or company-wide phone call that he would put out every day, and his vendetta against President Trump. And then we're going to talk about QAnon and what the fake news inside CNN knows about QAnon and why they won't bring it up. But you guys are going to want to check this out, and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm joined by a very special guest, a good friend of mine. We met recently, actually, in Tampa at an event, and we had a conversation, and all of a sudden I was like, hey, you should come on the show to talk about President Trump's latest lawsuit against CNN. And he was like, yeah, I'm definitely in. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Mr. Carrie Porch, the CNN whistleblower who worked with Project Veritas to expose Jeff Zucker's personal vendetta against the President of the United States. Welcome to the show, Carrie.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It is a true honor to be here, and it definitely was a blast meeting you along with, God, it felt like hundreds of other patriots in a good old on a waterfront property in Florida. We'll just leave it at that for the time being. So,
yeah, at the undisclosed location in South Florida, maybe perhaps near CENTCOM.
Yeah, but, not too far.
Yeah. No, so interestingly enough, the reason why I wanted to have you on, I kind of reached out to you after the news broke, President Trump suing the New York Times, then suing CNN and the Washington Post. This was a big deal to me. And as I was looking at the case itself, I thought, who better to kind of give a little bit of a commentary on what's happening with the Trump 2020 campaign suing CNN for libel over an opinion article, apparently, that didn't have much opinion and stated a lot of things that they were presenting as facts, which you seem to have done a great job of exposing with Project Veritas. So for the people out there, let's start with this. Tell us about what you did at CNN and how you basically came to expose Jeff Zucker's personal vendetta against President Trump there with James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. And then we'll kind of get into the lawsuits.
Woo, yeah, man, it's a lot to compact into however many minutes and stuff you and I have on the phone today. But for people that don't know, I started as a contractor for a satellite uplink technician type of position. I was a contractor that got employed and working at the CNN Bureau in Washington, D.C. in the summer of June of 2017. So basically I was a low-level guy that was assisting the CNN engineers and the trucks, the satellite trucks, kind of going from site to site, popping the dish up, making sure that, the signal was strong from, whatever the camera guys and anchors on ground were doing, getting up to the satellite. Then from there, coming back down to, people's televisions, their iPads or their mobile devices and stuff like that. So that was my role at CNN. And, so I started in summer of 2017, and obviously, full disclosure, at the time I was a complete never Trumper. I campaigned and helped for Bernie in the primary season of the DNC, for the 2016 election. So I was pretty far left, registered Democrat in that sense. And that's where I was politically. So coming to CNN was basically a dream job for me, to where I could basically, resist the man, resist the administration from the inside, do my part to, speak truth to power and every other thing that they may teach you at journalism school. And long story short, within the first, I'd say, couple months, I started noticing things that the news was kind of being spun one way. And it really started to kind of raise my antenna about, man, wait a minute. I thought we were, Trump was going to mess things up on his own. Why are we trying to put our finger on the scale? I mean, he's going to, screw it up on his own. Why are we trying to help that process? We should just let him do it on his own, so to speak. And I just started noticing and hearing things throughout the newsrooms and the different floors of the Bureau where, there was clear bias one way or the other, and that they were trying to twist the news into certain narratives, like accentuating certain negative parts of certain stories, or completely omitting or not clearly reporting, the good parts of what the administration may be doing at that time. So it just led me on a path to start seeking out other pieces of information from, like yourself, the definite alternative media or independent media, ones that weren't owned by corporations or other, financial interests, that, it's just some kid or some guy or girl with a laptop, a drone, and a cat in the background that could actually report facts first, what CNN purported to be. And I don't know how deep you want me to go with this rabbit hole, but it just eventually led me down that rabbit hole of seeking out, not even like the other side, so to speak, but just seeking out information that I felt was a more balanced look and more objective look at the good, bad, and the ugly of what's truly going on. And it just led me to certain beliefs that what I'm being fed and is not complete truth, and I'm basically a cog in a wheel that's responsible for deceiving or at least omitting certain information for millions of people on a daily basis, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And that's eventually what led me to seek out James O'Keefe at a conference in actually literally a year ago, last week or 2 weeks ago, in Washington D.C. And then fast forward a year, and here we are with you and I on a podcast talking to, however many thousands of amazing fellow patriots.
Wow. It's so, no, it's so great. See, now that's why I wanted to have you on, because you have such an amazing story, and it's a story that's not unlike so many others out there. So fast forward, you said then it was CPAC. So you're at CPAC 2019. You see, you're working with CNN, and I get like goosebumps when I think of the story. So you see sitting over at a booth, I think Eric Cochran, or was it at that time it probably was James O'Keefe, right? Or somehow you get a message to James O'Keefe. Tell the people how this happened, because this is such a great story.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So keep in mind, I'm going to back up just one and a half steps. Summer 2017, remember, I'm a registered far left Democrat, and I'd say, and I went to so by the time 2019 CPAC rolled around, I was pretty much, I'd say at that time, 70 to 80% completely red pilled at that time, just switching from far left Democrat to going back to my roots of right, at least right-leaning conservatarian-ish is kind of where I describe my personal politics, just for full disclosure. But I made that huge journey ideologically, in about a year, roughly. So I go there, and at that time I'm now working at CNN. We had the dish set up, we prepped and pulled all the fiber and cable and the audio and visual stuff. I mean, we were just set up. And basically, the hardest part of the job I did was, one, just finding the bird, making sure things got set up. And then the show pretty much ran itself. I was part of a team of 4 or 5 in total. And the CNN guys, again, I never want to miss an opportunity to say that they have some highly talented and very good people at their jobs. They just kind of have a different view of the way they do things. And so my partner there, the one that was running the show, he's like, well, hey, if you don't have to be here in the truck, we got everything going. Why don't you go off and, if you like conferences, go check it out. I'm like, okay, cool. And of course, in the inside, I was beaming like a little schoolgirl, because now I'm excited. I get to go from a year ago hating these people at CPAC to now I'm a fan of all the people at CPAC, so to speak. So I'm basically just going around, just kind of, conversing and talking to people. Even though I was wearing a media credential badge with CNN on it, I got some interesting looks, I'm sure you can imagine. And I had to play the role that, like, no, I hate you guys, even though I'm a fan and I watch your stuff every day. But yeah, eventually I'm still battling in this world I'm in, I call it a mental prison, where I'm working for a company that's totally espousing one set of views, and I'm believing that it's not only just a disagreement with my own personal beliefs, but like, man, I can't believe I'm now a part of this system that's deceiving people, or at least not laying out the truth. So I didn't go into CPAC looking for James O'Keefe. He wasn't even on my radar. I mean, I knew who he was, but it's one of those weird divine appointments. I mean, I go there, and then I'm going from room to room, breakout room to breakout session, just kind of having a good time. And then I see James O'Keefe sitting down for, it's either Epic Times or Heritage Foundation, like in Radio Row, just where all the booths are at and all the interview setups are at. And it just clicked. I'm like, oh my God, this might be it. And I look on the agenda, and he's set to go on the main stage like in 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay. I go into the main stage, to hear his talk. And if you've never been to a James O'Keefe or Project Veritas speech, it's like a really cool, I call it like a professor type of PowerPoint presentation, interactive type speech, but in a lot more fun than I can probably pronounce it to be. Like, it's a really cool, like, think of it like a sales pitch, but fun, if that makes sense. Like, you're really engaged, and it's a really cool presentation. And I went and saw it in the main stage, and he did his thing. And that's when they debuted, or shortly before that, they debuted the Facebook Insider, where they got the data and the screen grabs and the code showing that they were actively deboosting like Crowder's content or Cernovich's content or any other type of right-leaning content, that there was a definite finger on the scale. And at the end, it had that cheesy, like, be brave, do something, come find us. I'm like, you know what? I will be brave. I will do something, man. And my favorite part of it was, keep in mind, again, guys, I'm wearing a CNN badge. So I basically find a way to go downstairs to the book signing, and I go basically purchase one of his books on a credit card. I spend $30 that I didn't have because I was broke at the time, and find my way into the line to get an autograph. I'm like, okay, I got 10 or 15 seconds probably with this guy. I got to make it short and sweet. And there's probably cameras all around me. So, I go up to him and say, hey, what's your name? I'm like, hey, I'm Kerry Porge. Oh, I'm James O'Keefe. And I lean in and said, hey, I work for a 3-letter agency. And he's like, which one? And so, like, CNN. And then he has the worst poker face in the world. He says, oh boy. And they found that tape, like, for this last CPAC, they found our very first interaction, and it literally brought tears to my eyes when I viewed it, because I'm like, wow, that's where this whole circus started at. And I went and found him, and then 6-7 months later, in October of that year of 2019, the tapes dropped, and the rest is history. The roller coaster ride started, and it hasn't really stopped.
Wow. And one thing that you mentioned there that really stood out to me in all that was, you said, it was like a divine appointment. And that's the way that God, I believe, works in our lives. He puts us in the places that we need to be at the time we need to be there in order to effectively change the world for the better. And if we embrace that, then we can do it. And what you did, sir, was incredible. And I think we're all can say, as an audience here, my audience, everybody, we're thankful for what you did, because it's important that we just have truth and integrity, especially from people that we're told to trust the most, right? In this case,
Absolutely.
being these major news organizations. Now, switching gears here, because that's an incredible story. I'm glad that we were able to get that out to the audience, because they need to hear that. That's so cool. Now, President Trump's suing CNN. Now, tell me what you know about this case, and tell me what you think as far as what's the strategy here? Who are the people involved? Do you know any of these individuals? Tell us what you think about this.
Oh man, Craig, it is insane, because So for the viewers that may not have seen it, we released 4 tapes, 4 between 10 and 19-minute tapes for what I got. That's about, almost an hour of total footage and stuff like that. And it captured anything from the most famous pieces of Jeff Zucker himself, basically laying out his bias and his vitriol for Trump and anything Republicans, to, a Me Too type of thing with one of the senior White House people that they had there that over time has been, definitely accused of a lot of shady things, and anywhere in between. So a lot of great things, like a lot of great content, and just basically things to make people think like, man, maybe there's something beneath the scenes. But to speak to the lawsuit, I'm sorry I get on tangents, but to speak to the lawsuits, it's just a perfect storm because, CNN settled the case with the Covington kid a few months ago, that thing with the Native American elder, that whole brouhaha. Then they settled also recently a labor dispute board for like 80 or 90 million. That's been going on for, a couple decades. And now, of course, this lawsuit with Trump pulling the trigger. He actually floated this when the story dropped last year. Like he did like that intent to sue, and it basically was the same thing word for word almost. We're like, hey, we're suing you because X, Y, and Z based on ABC. Oh, and this Veritas footage that just dropped too. So yes, my name and actually a few of the people in my tapes are named people in the complaint. So it is definitely pretty wild to see that, to see your name on a tweet and in legal documents that are now part of public record. Like it's pretty insane. But mainly it's just Trump, I think, and of course I can't speak for his legal team, but it's just wanting the field to be level, to just let people have the facts, left, right, or center, so they can make up their own minds, which is all I wanted to do too. I didn't want to take down some network. I just wanted them to either go back to their glory back in like the 90s and early 2000s, where they truly were the gold standard of journalism, or just own where they're at. Like, hey, we mean left. It's cool. Just say it. And we actually got one of a 20, 25-year veteran at CNN, one of the field operations manager, a really great man by the name of Patrick. I mean, he's on one of my tapes and he's a great guy. And he, like many others, said, like, I love what CNN used to be. I hate what it's become. Like, we totally lean left. We just don't want to admit it. Like those types of things, like even from their 10, 20-year veterans to like Nick Neville or Christian Sierra, the guys right out of J school, that this is their entry-level or mid-level job. Like, yeah, we don't like Trump, but we don't like covering him all the time because this is stupid. There's way more actual news that we think the public needs to hear about than, oh yeah, we just hate Trump. So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's a fascinating take on it. And like you said, that's why it's important to talk to somebody like you. Not only were you there, but you were able to see now with this lawsuit coming forward, and you're seeing your name brought up again and again, even by the president of the United States. It's got to be a pretty big deal, from
it's mind blowing
from where you were before. So it's incredible. And another thing, talking about like divine appointment and everything, like we were saying before, was you were mentioning how much you enjoyed that speech that was given by James O'Keefe. And I just thought it was interesting to note that there you are a year later, not only seeing yourself have that conversation, but then also standing on the stage with James O'Keefe, presenting information about, how you are changing the world and effectively helping to act as a check and balance against the fake news media. So, I mean, that's got to be one of those moments where you kind of sit back and go, this is an incredible time that we live in, right?
It's wild, sir. And I mean, it definitely was one of those divine appointments. And I mean, and I'll DM you privately, like the speech we did at O'Keefe at CPAC this year, because I found my old badge from a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever it is, one where I was, CNN credential, to this year where it was a Project Veritas credential. And I'm literally on stage a year later where I was working this same event. And I'm here on the same stage, 2 years in a row. Well, not on the stage last year, but, in the same room, but for completely different reasons in the span of a year. And it truly was crazy. And I'm not going to spill the beans and stuff, but we did get some very we did talk to a few people. I'll just leave it at that after the speech. And, we may or may not have some cool stuff coming in the next several months or years or something like that. So it's kind of cool to see it play full circle that, we may have some more insiders coming forward based on what I did in the same way that I was inspired and motivated by previous insiders. And we may have a few more coming on board from different organizations and agencies, and obviously secrecy for obvious reasons. But it definitely is a lot of cool stuff that's definitely alludes to strings being pulled from much powerful people and forces than myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting about that is, what you're saying there and what you're describing is ultimately what will save, I think, the media at large if we continue to expose this kind of partisanship, this kind of, completely subjective and reporting that has no basis in what we have come to hope for, at least some semblance of objectivity in the reporting. So that's a fascinating thing. Now, I'm going to switch gears again, right? Because
Sure.
we got a little bit of time left, and I want to ask you very specifically, you are aware of a movement that goes by the name of QAnon, correct?
I do, and I'm relatively new to it, probably within the last year or so. And obviously, I can't speak on too much authority on it, but the very little bit that I do know and follow, it is truly mind blowing. And
Tell
again,
us,
I'm still.
well,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
tell us a little bit. I want to give you the floor. So, just tell us a little bit about how you came to find Q and what that has played a part in, how that's played a part in everything that you've done, since coming out or coming forward as the CNN whistleblower, which comes with so much notoriety and fame, infamy, whatever you want to call it. I bet both sides would say it's one or the other, right? But you tell me, obviously I don't think you came to it before, but it kind of came a little bit after. But tell us how that evolution took place.
Well, I mean, it kind of came during, now that I think about the timeline, it kind of came during my time there, but it was kind of just a blip on my radar because the first time I heard about it was when, a lot of the CNN contributors or anchors, or not even anchors, but like contributors, or they're like side pieces where, like Chris Cillizza, for example, I think he's got a show called The Point. And I mean, I liked Chris for the most part. He's always very nice. Like, there can definitely be some egos in the building, but he was always pretty nice. And I saw him do like a hit piece on Q as being like right-wing conspiracy theory and a bunch of trolls, and it's just this, that, and the other. And it was kind of around that time that I was still kind of sniffing around other forms of media. So my antenna was already up, like, wait a minute, why is the mainstream like setting their sights and their guns on this fringe alt-right conspiracy or 4chan board or something like that? Like, what why are they devoting valuable airtime to this? Was kind of my question. And just kind of looked at it here and there, and and I knew what 4chan was. I've been on there several times for all I love the poll board. Honestly, it's just, you sift through some of the racy stuff out there, but there's some gold in there with news and stuff. So I kind of knew a little bit about it about that time, and just kind of searching for it. And I'm like, whoa, some of this stuff is either very coincidental or broken watch type thing, or there's something here. Kind of where there's like, hey, I know obviously I forget the verbiage. You professionals can correct me, but it's, like the verbiage of like stand fast patriots, or, patriots in control. And like, we're going to get these like pedo guys and stuff like that. And then, I would cover Justice Department things where I would see people getting arrested, and then that part of the news not making the news, like all these like child sex trafficking rings being busted up, but like behind the scenes, like, what, we just busted like 250 child traffickers or whatever. Why is this not wall to wall, like primetime Wolf Blitzer type news? Like, this is a big deal. And that's kind of what really kind of led me down that path, and I'm still discovering. So I always appreciate any links and input that you and your listeners can give me. But that's kind of what really led me to like, man, there's something here where they're alluding to, hey, we're busting these and this down these doors and this door and that door and all these other like, pedo rings or, kind of weird cult or occult type things in the government, and like if those types of things are happening but they're not making the front page news, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and it's a very fascinating thing to me that I'm loving it as I learn.
Well, absolutely. And now that's a huge part of what we're doing. And I think that's one of the ultimate red pills that gets a lot of people, is exactly what you just described there. How does this stuff not make the mainstream media? How do the producers at CNN go, well, like you said, we have a major bust of a huge human trafficking ring with child sex trafficking, and then some, maybe even some undertones of Satanism and other ritualistic abuse, I should say. But that doesn't get talked about yet. President Trump orders an extra scoop of ice cream. Breaking news, breaking news, right? So let me ask you this. What did everyone say about Q? Did you ever hear any of the personalities at CNN talk about it kind of candidly? Did anybody give you an insight into it? Did that pique your curiosity at all? Or was it just they wouldn't even talk about it? They just dismiss it? How was the attitude about it there? I'm curious. And I'm sure my audience is too.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, in general, like, because think about it, you have like all these like very well educated, highly competitive, very competent people like in the building. Like there's not one dumb person in the building, if you've catch my drift. Like everyone there is highly intelligent, highly motivated, but they were all convinced that it was like just some weird right-wing, Pepe Kekistan type of trolling effect, and it's just a bunch of white nationalists on a poll board on 4chan. But yet they were expending all these resources and airtime to debunk this weird little, like, to me, what I learned, and just through like just logic and reason, like, okay, you have this huge media conglomerate that is now directing its sights toward a 4chan message board. Why? And so it just raised my antennas to like, why are they so even scared or just curious about this little thing? If it's truly not anything that's worthwhile, why are they directing, like, the full weight and might of a media conglomerate is being directed at a message board? Like, to me, that was just weird. And that's what kind of led me down that path. And I'm still here and digging as I go. And it's, the breadth of it is overwhelming to me. And I'm in it late in the game. I'm in the game late. So it's kind of
But you didn't hear like Wolf Blitzer in the break room saying, "Oh man, we know Q is real." It's like that candid,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? The cut of Van Jones where he's like, "Yeah, Russia's a nothing burger, but hey, whatever." You know what I mean?
No, yeah, no
Anything like that?
Gun. Yeah, sorry to disappoint you guys. I didn't have a smoking gun like that. Mine was mainly just behind the scenes. Is when I discussed it with some of my colleagues, that it was a quick dismissal, like, "Oh, it's stupid. It's just a bunch of trolls, and don't pay it any attention," and stuff. But you and I both know that Q and Q adjacent, so to speak. I mean, those message boards that they hate, that's where a lot of the true news breaks. Like the whole Covington thing, that's where the full long form video came out, as they were trying to like just crucify that kid. And I'm sure your readers know all about that. As the media was getting drunk on itself and sniffing its own farts, to quote South Park, like the trolls and stuff on the message boards are what leaked the full length video exonerating that kid of not being the instigator of that altercation. So, there's definitely something to it. And I love the term, we are the news now. And we are. I mean, people like yourself and all the other independent content creators. I mean, literally, like, you have Tim Pool, for example, that gets what, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 views per video or more, depending on the time of day or whatever. And literally, Wolf Blitzer himself gets around 500,000 to 600,000 views a night, and he's got the full weight of this huge conglomerate behind him. But some dude in New Jersey with a laptop with his cat in the background can compete eyeball-wise with a major conglomerate. To me, that's mind-blowing, and that's one of the fascinating things I love about this whole phenomenon.
Well, the way you just described it is perfect, and that is true. That is like the whole "we are the news now" thing. Look at what Tim Pool does. You're right. Look at what I'm able to do. Look at what a lot of people like myself and others who do this kind of sphere of news coverage, they're able to do. It's really impressive, and it is truly us combating this fake news machine that's basically been propped up for so long. It's obviously dinosaur media. It's going out the way of the dinosaur. But with that being said, I think that's a great place to wrap it up And I want to give you a short opportunity here to shout out to the audience what you're doing, where they can find you on social media, how can they reach out to you, what is your message to the people out there that are watching this, that want to know more about you, and you want to tell them more about yourself. Just let them know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I can't express my gratitude enough for you and your group and your fans to just give me the opportunity to meet amazing patriots like yourself and the others we met at that undisclosed bunker in Florida, but it's just, I want to, obviously the best way to get a hold of me personally, I'm in the process of doing a website and setting up a channel, but my Twitter DMs are always open. It's at on the porch, ONTHEPOARCH. My name is basically a fancy version of a front porch, but I'm just loving what I'm doing. I'm working a normal 9-to-5 job now. Back in my old industry of telecom, we have a beautiful baby girl on the way in a couple weeks. And I'm just trying to live a normal life like a Bruce Wayne in the daytime. And then at nighttime and the weekends, trying to, basically go out and speak and recruit and help out get the message, and a message of just free speech and just having an open mind out to the public that the news is not your friend. The mainstream news is not your friend anymore. And just look and listen with a critical eye of any piece of content that comes across your desk. True people that want the truth out there, they are not afraid of scrutiny and sniffing and scratching below the surface. That I want you to basically fact check everything myself or someone else says. Like, if we are the news now, we have to be above the fray and not afraid where facts will lead us. So just hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. It's always open, and definitely some of these Q conferences or other, center or right of center or full right leaning type of things that you'll be able to find me at. And I'd love to make some new friends and help spread the message as far, fast, and wide as we can.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. And also, let me just tell you, we have a huge prayer army out there.
Thank you.
And we're going to be praying for you. We're going to be praying for your newborn that's on the way. We're going to be praying for, or excuse me, not your newborn, your baby that's on the way. We'll be praying for you and your family. Almost. And for your safety and everything, because that's what we do here. That's how we, that's our way that we help combat the evil that exists in the world, is by doing good, being righteous, living a good life, and praying for others and trying to help others. And I know you're going to have a lot of prayers coming your way. So God bless you and your family. God bless you for coming forward, and rejoice and be glad today, because this is the day that the Lord has made, my friend. And thank you, Carrie Porch, for coming on the show. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll have you on soon again to talk more about everything that's happening out there.
It's been my honor. Thank you so much, sir, for you and your group. And we will gladly accept all the prayers and aid that we can. Thank you so much.
All right. Godspeed and God bless you, sir. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Carrie Porch from Project Veritas. Remember, he's at Twitter, at On the Porch, POARCH. So you guys can go check him out over there, or on Instagram. Now, before we go, we do a few things to wrap it up. Remember, this video is also being brought to you in part by Brave Browser. You can download it for free. Use the link in the description to download it, install it, and run it today. You guys are going to love this product. Also, you can check me out over here on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. That's a great way to connect outside the channel. Also, there's JustinFormedNews.com. Then, of course, the backup channel over here on BitChute. BitChute.com/JustinFormedTalk. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial, Patreon, Patreon.com. You can make a monthly donation here. You guys have kept this channel alive and going for this whole time, so thank you so much for your support. And I can tell you right now, your support is what keeps it going in the face of all the demonetization happening at YouTube. And also, we have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share this verse, and I think it applies to kind of what we talked about in the beginning about, some people are out there hoarding, and it makes it difficult for people who do certain types of jobs to even get their normal supplies, to go to the grocery and just pick up a meal for their family. And so we have to be kind of cognizant of that, even though we want to prepare and be prepared. And I kind of was thinking, how do we do that? And then I found this verse, Romans chapter 15, verse 1 through 6. It says this. Now, and it talks about pleasing others and not ourselves. It says, now we who are strong have an obligation to bear the weaknesses of those without strength, and not to please ourselves. Each one of us must please his neighbor for his good, in order to build him up. For even the Messiah did not please himself. On the contrary, as it is written, the insults of those who insult you have fallen on me. For whatever was written before was written for our instruction, so that through our endurance and through the encouragement of the scriptures, we may have hope. Now, may the God of endurance and encouragement grant you agreement with one another according to Christ Jesus, so that you may glorify the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ with a united mind and voice. Amen. I mean, guys, please remember that, as it says here, we're meant to bear the weaknesses of those without strength. And that includes those who are sick. And we just have to keep our hearts open and pray and remember to do the right thing while being, safe. I mean, you can do the right thing and be safe at the same time. So that's my, message for you. I hope that those words, resonate with you. And just remember, we have to try to be more Christ-like, especially when things get bad. It's easy to be, to say you're going to do all these Christ-like things and to live, in a righteous way when everything's fine. What's tough, what separates, us from others is that we are able to have that strength in the worst times, in the eye of the storm, as they say. So please remember, God is with you, and help others and be there for those who are not as strong. And as it says, we have to bear their weaknesses, because it's not about us, it's about helping others. So that's my message to you. I hope that resonates with you, and take it and put it out in the world for everyone to see, and that's really my message for today. But that's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and also hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, turn it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.